Hi Stacie, this is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and this is your gorgeous 401A. And this is the final test before we pack her up to ship her out to you. And in this test we'll go over how to wind the bobbin, how to thread the machine, and how to use all the various controls. And so without further ado, let's get started. So your foot control is a set of 2 cords and the control itself. On some models, both of these cords were joined together at the plug, but this one is 2 separate plugs. This one is the plug for the foot control. Plugs in horizontally right there. And this one is your power, and this goes in this way with the cord towards the back of the machine. And you plug this one into your 110 outlet, and you're ready to sew. Excuse me. Your light switch is down here. I'm going to leave it off for the demonstration. Let's see, let's start by winding a bobbin. And you open your slide plate and you'll find the bobbin right there. There's a cutout on either side, so you can just reach in and lift it out. There's a little bit of thread on here, but I'm going to take it off. It's kind of pointless to wind new thread over old, because I don't know if anybody in the history of sewing has ever gone back and used that little bit of thread that they wound the new thread over. Let's see, what color should we go? Here's a nice smoky gray on a vintage spool, no less. So we're going to wind our bobbin thread with this smoky gray color. You put your spool on the bobbin winder spool pin down here. Go into between the discs of the bobbin tension and then on up to the bobbin winder, which is up here. So we're going to put the thread through one of the holes and put a few wraps on here to hold the thread in place while the bobbin winds. And with the thread going on over the top this way, over the top from the front towards the back, slide it onto the bobbin winder as far as it'll go. Then raise your bobbin winder until the rubber tire comes in contact with the hand wheel, and the hand wheel is what's going to spin the bobbin winder to wind your bobbin. Decollect your machine by turning the chrome knob in the center of the hand wheel towards you, just like an 1/8 of a turn or so, 1/16 of a turn, not very much. Put your spool on the spool pin down here on the bobbin winder, go into your tension device, and slide the bobbin on and hold the thread. And once it's got a few wraps on it, cut that tag off. It's going and winding nice even bobbin here. That's more than plenty for our test. So reclutch your machine by tightening the hand knob, the clutch knob. Move your bobbin winder down from contact with the hand wheel. Take the bobbin off and push it down into its little receptacle there. Then with the thread coming off the top of the bobbin. With the thread coming off the top of the bobbin in this direction, drop your bobbin in the bobbin race and direct your thread into this little into the little slanted slot. A little hard to see, but right here on the edge of the bobbin race there's a little slanted slot. You just direct your thread into that. That'll guide the thread under the little flat leaf spring, which is your lower tension. And as with all the old vintage machines, the plugs are not polarized. Both of the tines of the plug are the same thickness, so you can put it in either way. And sometimes, if you're really sensitive, you can feel a tiny, tiny buzz in the metal. If the plug is in one direction, you just take it out, turn it over, plug it in the other way, and that little buzz goes away. It's not anything that'll hurt you or anything. It's just it's distracting to feel it. So, the bobbin's in place, so we're going to thread the machine. And what goes with smoky gray? How about some nice dusty rose? Vintage color for a vintage machine. Go put your spool on the spool pin, either one, doesn't matter which. Go into your thread guide at the top of the machine, right here, down between the discs of the tension assembly, and there are two sets of discs. It doesn't matter which one you go through. This machine will take a double needle, so you can do decorative top stitching and the like. Bring your thread all the way around until you catch the little thin check spring here, and on up until your thread goes into the little notch right at the top there. So you go into the big thread guide there above the tension device, go through the take up lever from right to left, go down to this thread guide, this thread guide, this thread guide, and at the very bottom of the needle clamp, this thread guide. Lots of thread guides, but it gives you real nice thread control. Lower the pressure foot onto the fabric using the lever on the back of the machine, and that's ready. This is your stitch length here. The very center here is the zero position where the fabric doesn't move forward or backwards, and from that point going down, your stitches get longer and longer and longer until at the very bottom are your longest stitch lengths. From that center point going up, your stitches get longer and longer and longer, but in reverse. If you want your stitches to be the same length in forward and reverse, you choose your stitch length. I'm going to choose 12 stitches per inch. Screw this knob on the front of your selector lever until the little keeper here contacts the faceplate. And now when you go from forward to reverse, your stitches will be the same length in forward and reverse. We're going to just leave it wide open so we can go to any stitch length we want. And again, I'm going to set it at about 12 stitches per inch, which is a pretty good medium stitch length for regular fabric and thread. This is your stitch width when you do zigzag or fancy stitches. For straight stitch, it doesn't matter where you set it, because with these two knobs, you're going to select straight stitch. So we're going to consult the chart under the lid here, and it will tell you that straight stitch is A and K. So This outer outer knob works the A through J side. The inner knob, which you pull out instead of pushing in, operates the K through S section. So we're going to choose A on this side. So push in, turn it all the way up to A. Make sure it pops all the way back out. And then we're going to pull out the inner knob and go down to K. Make sure that the knobs go back to their regular position. If you push it in, make sure it comes back out. If you pull it out, if you pull out the inner one, make sure it goes back in. This is your thread tension. I've set it so that your average thread tension for a regular thread, regular fabric and thread. What's up with you, dog? Can't catch that tail for me. Okay, so this is your tension assembly, and when I restore a machine, I set it so that about 3 is your average tension for regular thread and fabric. Scrappy, settle down. If your threads on the back look loose and loopy, you may need a little more tension. You might turn it up to 3.5 or 4, but just small increments. If it feels like it's got too much tension, breaking thread or the fabric puckers, that sort of thing, you might want to let it off a little bit. But we're going to set it on 3. This knob over here is your pressure on your sewing foot, and you want just enough pressure so that your fabric moves along with authority. Scrappy, settle down. Good boy. Yeah, you're a very good boy. So just give a little bit of gas and away we go. That's a straight stitch. If we're going to do zigzag, we'll go to B on this side and L on this side. So press in the outer knob and go down to B. Make sure the knob comes back out. And on this side, we're going to pull out the inner knob and turn it to L. And then you'll use your stitch width here, just like on any machine, to choose your stitch width. I'm going to go all the way over to 5, which is your widest stitch width. That's a zigzag. And now you have a whole bunch of other stitch patterns that are built in that you can choose from. Let's do B and M to do a nice, I don't know what you call it, a button stitch, or not for buttons, but it makes little ovals. And we'll set it on about 4, and I'm going to shorten the stitch length quite a bit so that the stitches lay really close to each other. And as with any sewing machine, you can't go too short of a stitch unless you put on a satin stitch foot, which has a little cutout in the bottom of the presser foot, so that as the thread humps up when you do a really close satin stitch or other fancy pattern stitch, it can slide through that channel and not not stop the fabric from moving. Okay, so let's go. B&M. I'm going to shorten it up even more. Yeah. Like I said, that would look better if you have a satin stitch foot. You can take it all the way up to the really fine area, and then your patterns, which are kind of elongated right now, will pull down to yeah, anyway. So my words aren't working too well today. Yeah, those are looking nice. And let's do a scallop stitch, which is B and R. So we're already on B. I'm going to take, first I'm going to raise the needle up out of the fabric so we don't bend the needle. Then I'm going to take the inner knob up to R. And this just makes a nice snaky scallopy line. Anyway, enough of that. Let's see, I must have a stitch pattern cam here somewhere. Okay. Excuse me if the camera's been moving around a little bit. I do need a better tripod. I found this set of stitch pattern cams for you. It's a set of 12. And the box says that they're for the 600 series touch and sews, but it's the very same cam that they used for the 500, 4 and 500 series. So stitch pattern cams, they call these the top hat cams, and they have the main center hole that goes onto the post, and then there's a little cutout here for the little guide post, and you just raise your lid and with the little guide post going into its hole, you just press it down. It helps to pull out the inner knob as you push it down. That just pulls the little follower away from the cam. Make sure that it goes back onto special and that the knob settles back down to where it's supposed to be. And for come on in, but you try to settle down, right? No rowdiness. Well, hello. Yes, you're a good boy. Okay, for the special stitches, the special cams, you set the outer knob to B and the inner knob on special, which is all the way to the top on the right side. Then again, your stitch length to adjust the size of your pattern is right here. Okay, you're going to have to get down when I do this. Sorry, little buddy. Come on, get down. Good boy. Okay. Guess we need some fabric under the presser foot. Everything seems to be ready. Here we go. Anyway, that's how it works. When you're done, hold your inner knob out and just pull the, sometimes you gotta pull hard to get the cams off. Maybe I'll grease those very slightly. I think I'll just put a tiny touch of Vaseline on those. It's got a little spring steel, cheaper spring here. Don't want enough to make things messy in there, but we want the cams to slide on and off easily. Definitely much better. And as I said, you have a dozen different stitch patterns in here. Some are duplicates of the built-in stitch patterns. Some seamstresses say that the stitch patterns made from the cam look better than the stitches made from the built-in cam. But I myself have never really noticed that. You can try it and see how it works for you. Anyway, you have several stitch pattern combinations available here, and inside of your faceplate you have a threading guide. To do machine embroidery, that sort of thing, this machine doesn't have a feed drop. Instead, they have a throat plate that raises up so you're above your feed dogs. See, so now when you sew, the teeth of your feed dogs don't ever come up above the surface here, so they don't move your fabric, so you can do all the moving yourself. And then to take that plate off to brush out the dust and lint. When you oil your machine, you want your you move the throat plate position lever all the way to the left. That unlocks this plate so that you can slide it out. And you have to make sure that your feed dogs are down below the plate when you do so. And your plate slides off, you can get in there and brush and vacuum it out. Now when you're ready to sew again, you just position your the two pop-up holders here and put your throat plate position lever all the way to the right. Now your feed dogs are going to move your fabric for you. Let's see, is there anything else? Can't think of anything. She's a beauty. She's just freshly restored and in beautiful original condition too. Sometimes it almost seems unnecessary to take them apart and clean them to restore them, but we do it anyway, just to make sure that they're the best that they can be. And we'll get her packed up and get her sent on home to her new home. And Stacie, again, thank you so much.